Hey, hello. Answers to problem 1 on the CS202 first exam, the paper portion. First question here, we're just looking for the C keyword for each of these. Floating point variable that's single precision is float. Integer variable is declared with int. Declare a structure data type, you need the keyword struct. So for some of these, there's potentially more than one answer, but there's always a best answer. So integer variable, you could have said short or long as modifiers on the int, but int is the best answer. Defining a new data type, you use type of. Instead of a bunch of if-else's together, you can use switch, which there's a keyword case that gets used there, and default, and you also use break. Stopping a loop, so going to the end of the loop, is break. Integer that's twice as many bytes is long. That varies on which system you're on, but on our CS server at the moment, it's twice as many bytes. Floating point variable that's double precision is declared with double. Declaring a local variable that behaves like a global variable, I had in mind static. So if you declare a static local variable, something like static int x equals 5 or something like that, and that's inside of some function, then every time this function gets run, it's the same value of x. So this initializer only happens once, and then the value of x is saved. So it only has local scope. You can only use it inside of here, but it has global persistence. So however you spell persistence. Loop based on a condition, one keyword, that's while. Character variable is declared with char. Integer that takes up half as much space, short. That depends on the system as well, exactly how many bytes. Value may change at any time. That's volatile, and that's a hint to the compiler to be careful with that variable in terms of optimizations. Declare union is union. Integer that is always non-negative, our name for that is unsigned. Go back to the beginning of a loop, continue. Stop a function and send a value back. Return. Creating a register variable, which is a hint to the compiler to try to keep that variable in the CPU and not have to transfer it back and forth between the CPU and memory. Variable that can't be modified is a const, automatic, auto, and this is aka variable on the stack, which is the default. So you don't need to say auto for a variable. That's just what variables are. Number of bytes of a variable or data type, size of. Declaring a variable that was allocated in a separate file. So if you say extern, it's going to look in your other files for that, and it's not going to does not allocate storage. So one of the files needs to declare it without extern. Enumerated data type, enum. Type of a function that does not return anything, void. Loop based on a condition that runs at least once. I was looking for do while. Maybe there's other things you could justify there, but for the 202 class you had my preferred answers here. Loop with initialization, a condition, and increment is 4. Those are the 3 parts of the for line. Used in place of a loop, you can use goto, also called a jump in some assembly languages. So that you say specifically a line to jump to. Conditional execution, 2 words. I was looking for if else. All right, that's number 1. See the next video for number 2.